is the most one-eyed podcast.
It's what we're here to do.
It is.
There is only one side in this competition. It's game-changing.
It's absolutely game-changing, Deeb.
Riddle me that,
Yeah,
Mads.
riddle me that, Deeble. Do you remember?
It's what we're here to do. This is True Bloods, the number one independent Sydney Swans fan podcast, and we are back in the AFL Today Studio to dissect the loss against the Lions, the upcoming clash against the Dockers and everything else Sydney Swans. And I am joined by one of my good friends, Big Clarko over here. We're going with Clarko. We're changing the names. We're just lightening up the mood in here because we're sitting zipping to Mads. It's not all happy days at the Swannies. That injury list is ever growing, but I don't think the football has been too bad.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about any of this, to be honest. I thought we showed real signs of a game plan coming together. I think there are a lot of key people that I was keeping an eye on that were damaging, and it went to another level. I speak, of course, of Corey Warner, Braden Campbell. These are the guys I'm looking at. Looking at Jimmy Jordan.
Yeah,
right? I'm not worrying about wins and losses. I'm not going to sit here and ride every round, win and loss, and let that dictate my mood. I'm going to look at Jimmy Jordan. I'm going to look at Jimmy Jordan. Yeah. How many touches did Lachie Neale get?
Not many.
10. Like that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. That's what puts me to sleep at night.
That's what makes it when your head hits the pillow.
That's right.
That's what's making it all okay.
I'm thinking about JJ.
Very good.
But I mean, realistically, it's a new game plan. It's a new coach. We've got an injury list the size of my arm, and it's a very long arm. I'm not concerned about it, and anybody who is. We've lost 2 games by a total of 24 points to 2 teams that are touted as, up there at the end of the season. So I'm not concerned.
Yeah, well, if you look at the premiership betting, Brisbane's number 2 and the Hawks are flag favourites. So I think that plays in that, they're going to be decent sides this year. And I think the word that I've seen going around on social media at the moment, Mads, is it's just all a little bit clunky for the Bloods.
Yeah, it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Nothing we've done. Every sort of foray from half back going forward, which is our bread and butter with the guys we've got when you've got Lizard Blakey, you've got Braden Campbell, you're clearly missing an Errol Goulden, right? You're clearly missing an Errol Goulden with the polish and the well-weighted kick, Steve.
Yes.
But it just does look a little bit clunky, and that's a problem.
And look, in that first quarter, we kicked the first 4 of the game. It looked like we were back, mate. It was that fast footy, and sort of we started to win that contest a little bit in that first quarter, and we were just clean by hand. And that was the thing that fell apart after sort of quarter time was that cleanliness. We're a big cleanliness pod, Mads, and that's what went out of the game after quarter time. And the pressure moments when they came on, we just didn't quite get it done. And look, you speak of a Corey Warner, right? He had some opportunities to really sort of assert himself on the contest. And I think this is where we're getting sort of punished as a footy side in a way because we don't have those 30 or 40 games into a Corey Warner.
Yep.
He's got the 10 or so. And, he just isn't able to quite take the moment when it's there. And I think that's what's going to improve once he gets that continuity in his game. Yeah, he was just rushed, mate. It's like if he, had that bit more experience. And I'm not, sacking him or anything like that. It's something that's going to come with experience. And these are the things that it's going to be hard when we've got the injury list we do. You got Juzzy coming out of the side as well. These players are going to have to be able to be great under pressure, or else we're going to struggle to get those W's.
Yeah, in that sense, I thought both Corey and Braden's first quarter was sensational.
Oh, absolutely.
They were targets. They were dangerous every time they were near the ball. They were inherently dangerous.
Yeah, the intent from Braden Campbell, that rundown chase,
massive.
and being able to goal from the set shot, that was huge, and that's what we love from Braden. But we can sit here and look at the stats. Braden Campbell's had 13 touches. We probably need him to be getting up around the sort of 17 to 20 mark, and that's the impact you're loving, and that's what we need from a Braden Campbell.
You do, but in Braden's defence, not that you're necessarily attacking him, but in Braden's defence, I thought the forward pressure, their sort of intangible statistical area was sensational. With 7 tackles, most of them inside 50. That's what I'm looking for when I can see that Tom Papley's not 100% right. Yeah. There's nothing out there to suggest factually that he's under any injury cloud, but I'd almost put my life on the fact that he is far from 100%, Deeble.
Yeah, and look, he came off the interrupted preseason, and that's what we've seen there. And we've probably seen it a few times with Paps, right? When he's come off these injuries, and, you know, he's probably been pretty courageous putting himself out there. I'm sure if, you know, we had a fully fit list, we would have been able to nurse him for a week or two to get that fitness back into his game. But yeah, look, we're not seeing him play huge midfield minutes either, sort of getting into those CBAs. They're very limited. It's only, I think, 3 or 4 a game at this stage. But yeah, Papsy's one and Wilbur's one as well.
That's part of the reason that I think he's just not right, because otherwise you're utilising him where he's impactful and damaging. Yeah, damaging. We love some damaging players.
Now, Joel Hamling came into the side for his first game, Mads.
Now, everyone, just hang with me for a second.
Yes.
That joke is over, okay? The joke about me not knowing what Joel Hamling looks like is over.
Hold on. Let me set the scene. So Saturday morning, I wake up and I flick on the old Instagram, as you do, going for a bit of a squiz through the phone, and I see someone's uploaded to the True Bloods account. It's got to be one of 2 people. So I'm looking and I see a bowl of porridge on the table. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then next minute, there's a picture of Joel Hamling in there, who Mads was calling Riley Bice, and you know, having a bit of a gag there. It was a fantastic one. But yeah, Mads is well and truly aware.
It's over. I want to make sure we put an end to it, Deeble.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's the thing about gags. Good gags, ladies and gentlemen, they generally have an end. You finish it before it gets old and stale. Yeah. And I think that me not knowing what Joel Hamling looks like and him standing up in my porridge in the morning stood the test of time, and we'll bid it farewell. He can roast a football. Did you say it, Al? He can roast a football. I like him. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I certainly think this is something that, especially now with Malikan being out, it needs to be ongoing. Deeble, thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a big Joel Hamling guy.
We're a big Joel Hamling pod.
We are. We're a big Joel Hamling pod. We've turned the corner with Joel Hamling, and he could be the saviour for the Bloods. He can let Malikan's out of the back 6. Joel Hamling is going to lead this back 6.
Yeah, correct. Well, no,
but in all seriousness, he's got that ability to intercept, and just the structure he provides with players in and out of this side, Mads. Structure is going to be so important, and you don't want Dane Rampy having to play on a big forward player. So,
those days are done.
Yeah, Ramps is, he's up against it at the age of 35, but I thought he was fantastic again on the weekend and showed why he's still doing what he's doing. It was a good game from Ramps, but
for sure.
Malikan out of the side, it probably brings up the discussion of old mate Tommy McCartan. Now, I think this is a bit of a trial by media. I think everyone's just advocating for Tommy to go back, but I think with Malikan coming out of the side, there is no choice.
Do you think we beat Hawthorn by 10 points and we beat Brisbane by 4 points? Do you think there's the conversation? And Tom McCartan plays the exact same way. Do you think there is the same conversation?
No chance. No chance. It's all results based, and I think if you look at all results based. I've lost my train of thought now. If you go back to that first quarter with Tommy, right, he was leading up at the ball so well, and like we were lacing him out, he would have taken 3 or 4 marks in that first quarter. It's like that's what we want from Tommy.
Can I say something that shits me a little bit?
Yeah, go on.
And this just comes from experience.
We'd love an experienced guy.
His experience.
Oh, his experience, yes.
Because he was taking marks on up around half forward, right?
Pushing up the ground.
Problem is, he just didn't move the ball on quick enough. he would wait with the ball for so long. Did you notice that, Al? He would wait with the ball for so long and let everybody flood in. And then this leads me to my next gripe. And I don't have that many of them because I think we played quite well in terms of pressure. I think that's a key metric for me is looking at the pressure.
Yep.
But the bombing it in consistently, what's the definition of insanity, Deeble? Tell me.
It is expecting something different.
No, it is doing
like
the
that.
same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's what you meant.
Yeah.
And we just kept doing it.
As a quick counterpoint, Tom McCartan did keep Harris Andrews to bottom 4 champion data in the
Without
Brisbane
a shadow
Lions.
exactly. Yeah, and that's great, right? But he just didn't move the ball quick enough on about 4 occasions, which stopped us from being dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. And that probably comes with a bit of confidence in what's going on in that forward line too. It's a bit unsettled down there, and with having Papley out of form, I think Hayward sort of started to work his way into the game.
A little bit.
Took that nice chest mark and he was going all right. I thought he was starting to turn the corner. He's been off the pace, Wilbur, but I'm confident he's going to be turning the corner.
Should we just talk about the Tom McCartan thing, because that's going to have to be, from the way I look at it, the way our backline is going to present, that it's not like he's going to play a swingman role. He's going to have to be centre half back or fullback.
Yeah, look, I fundamentally, I think he's going back.
Yeah.
With Melican missing, you got to get your structures right.
And just with their forward line as well.
And you saw it straight away. As soon as Melican went off, Tommy went back. So I think that's what's happening, and I think that's what makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's horses for courses. I don't think it's through lack of his forward ability like the media's sort of trialling. It's through necessity that he's got to go back.
Yeah, for sure. I still thought we could have been a little bit more agile when they were getting a run on and just stick
in that
someone
third
else.
quarter.
Yeah, just stick him back there, because I mean, if the ball's living in their forward 50, which it was, I just see no reason that you can't swing him back.
Yeah, we got smacked on transition.
Yeah,
when
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
It's just that we really lost those contests, and they were moving the ball way too fluid. They were so good in that third quarter. What did they kick? 6 goals or something like that. 6 goals to 2 in that third quarter. So it's something that is a real strength of good footy sides, is being able to stem momentum, and we weren't able to do that enough. It was that 25-minute patch of footy that lost us a game.
But I'll tell you what, our ability to keep getting ourselves back in the game was so admirable. And I talked about pressure before. The consistent pressure that we maintained throughout the game was up around the 200. Now, again, not sure anyone knows
how they do it,
how they measure this statistic. I'm sure. Alex, pull that up for me, would you? I think that's a really good sign, because that's something that probably impacted us last year. We sort of, our pressure would drop off from time to time.
Yeah.
Really good to be doing that against the reigning premier.
It was good to have it back in the game, for sure. And we saw we were able to score on turnover a lot better than we did on the weekend.
Now, in previous weeks. It was clunky, but we still scored.
And it's just it's being able to I'd go back to it, being able to take the moments. We just weren't able to quite get there. It was
Amadi's set shot.
Amadi set shots, they kill you. Here, talk to me about Amadi. Give me your thoughts.
I just think you've got to convert those opportunities.
Yeah,
you just have to.
You're frustrated with not taking the opportunities, 100%. That's a given. But
the way he's presenting,
playing,
I like.
Thank you.
I really
we're on the same page. I am seeing so many people online pasting Armadi. Like, he's got to be dropped. He's this and that. He's presenting up as a target as good as you can. He's drawing the defenders in. He's creating a contest. Now, is Armadi going to be the guy that's kicking 70 or 80 goals? I don't think so, right? But he's doing everything he can. And the people who are blasting Armadi, I think they're off the mark.
You've got to take those opportunities, though, Deebs.
Yeah.
Like you have to. I mean, that's the difference between potentially a W and an L.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think I've ever seen a bloke dropped freeze kicking. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
You're
No,
like, oh,
no,
he's
see,
about to kick a goal, he's getting dropped. Like, that's not happening.
You get dropped for effort, right?
Yeah.
Fundamentally, you get dropped for effort and attitude,
Yeah.
right? That's the reason you get dropped.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly not saying drop him. We fundamentally need him,
Yeah.
right? But it's just we talk about the clunkiness, we talk about cleanliness. That's something that, where we let ourselves down, as you rightly said.
No doubt. Now, he is one for you, Mads. I'm really, really interested in the role of the Chad Warner, right? He's spending a lot of time forward of the ball. It's about 50-50 percentage split
Paid
at the
dividends
moment.
on the weekend.
It did, and I think he's doing it really well. It's like this new age player at the moment, isn't it? It's like one of your main contested ball winners.
Dynamic.
Sort of going forward and being able to win the contest forward of the ball. He's such an important player. He's hit the scoreboard twice in a row.
And in critical moments
Critical moments, and he's taken it, you talk about taking advantage of the shots you're having. He's converting, and it just they're so valuable, these players.
The first one was straight after that Zach Bailey transition goal, where Liz, unfortunately, for the fourth time in that game, dropped a mark and put himself under pressure. Goes to Zach Bailey, kicks a goal. We go, shit, we're in a bit of strife here. Chad out of the middle. Chad bursting out of packs. Deeble.
I dreamt about it. I always dream about Chad bursting out of packs, and I said it was going to happen before halftime, which it did. So it was nice to get the old Mystic Deebles. He's back.
Deebles, question without notice. Tell me a bit about Matty Roberts.
Matty Roberts. Really good bar, sort of one dismal turnover, trying to do a little bit too much, not taking the first option.
I just thought it was lazy.
Very lazy.
It was a lazy kick.
Very, very lazy. And in back-to-back weeks in the last quarter, I think this was with 4 minutes to go, turning it over to Dunkley, and we were 2 points down at the time. It was they're the coach killers. They're when we're probably not at our best and we're doing things like that in final quarters, that's what makes it really, really hard to bank these wins. Like
Correct.
2 weeks in a row.
Your own worst enemy.
Florent last weekend, Roberts this weekend. You're making it tough for yourself, fellas, with ones like that.
But yeah, I think he's now an integral part of our backline, though. And again, you're not getting dropped for that alone. And this is the thing you see on social media. Geez, people are reactive. It's pretty funny. Now, I just want to go back to my man JJ.
Yes.
Right. Now, Lockie Neal, I'll tell you, you'll like this one, Al. It was his lowest tally of disposals in 8 years. In 8 years. This is the one-time or two-time Brownlow medalist.
Two-time Brownlow medalist. Exactly right.
It's just seeing how James Jordan has developed. I know we've talked about it a great deal. I know you're probably sick of it. I'm not sick of it, though,
I'm not.
because this is a guy who has reinvented himself and has done what he's needed to do. It's sensational, Deeble.
Yeah.
And you have so much faith and trust in whatever player he goes to on any given weekend.
Well, it sort of goes back. If we go back to last year, that back quarter of the season, we stopped giving JJ a role, really. And there were times where like, oh, what are we doing with JJ? He's playing his own game. And I think he's a more than established player to be able to play as a midfielder as well. But he's so much more effective taking out their best player, whether it's sort of someone off half back or like it was the two-time Brownlow medalist in Lockie Neal on the weekend. It's so effective being able to take a player out like that. And him having no influence on the game is a big way to sort of getting as close as we did to Brisbane. And we do a few things wrong, better that we did wrong, and we win that game. It's
I wholeheartedly agree. That's why I'm not concerned. There's just, again, what we took out of the game against Hawthorn is all the issues are very clear and fixable. And I just think it's, it takes a little bit longer to do these things, especially when you're grappling with a new game plan.
Yeah.
And so I would plead for calm from the faithful. Otherwise, I think tell me about Riley Bice.
Riley
Deebs,
Bice. I'm big on Bicey. Big
your man?
Bicey guy. Yeah, claiming him.
Yeah, claiming him.
Yep. I've compared him to that bloke who went to go to Adelaide, captain the Crows.
Never heard of him. Don't remember him.
Don't remember his name, but he just screamed, Jordan Dawson off halfback. Like that's what he looked at, and he looked. It's funny. It was a really hot day up in Sydney, right? I don't know whether
really hot day, Sydney.
Yeah.
In autumn. That's weird. That's weird.
Well,
Almost like it's some sort of Greek island.
Greek island type vibes.
Yeah, right.
Humidity was high, really uncomfortable
Sure.
though.
I'd like to live there.
But Bicey came on and he looked just to be going better than anyone else who was on the ground, really refreshed, ran and created sort of, the 1-2 handballs, looking to create, got a really nice left boot as well. It's something that I think we really need to sort of be able to help Lizard as well.
I think you're bang on.
Yeah, it's just going to complement what we're trying to do, and I think we've really found one here. I really do. He was the highest rated Swans player after he came on halfway through the third quarter, 30% game time. I think you see those players, right, and they just look at the level. He looked comfortable. He's a little bit shaky early on, turned a couple over, but
Deebs,
I'm big on Bicey.
I've got 2 words written down here.
Yes.
Composure and maturity.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not too often you see these guys, 26, 27, come in from being a VFL player and come to the level like he did. He is ready to go, and I think we're going to see some pretty special things out of him. It's like, do I expect 25 and 600 metres gained every week? No, I don't. But if he can provide those link-up channels and that drive off halfback that we're known for being so electric off halfback, if he's able to do that and have that penetrating left foot as well, he's an asset.
I agree. I'm glad he's your man. I couldn't be a better pairing there, Deeble and Bicey, I reckon.
Bicey.
Now, I just want to take it away from the players and more sort of the way we went about it.
Yep.
And I just want to flag, I still think, while I think Amarty's doing quite well, and while, we haven't mentioned Hanley, right? But
yes.
he's going to be some player. Saw him kick his first AFL goal, which is phenomenal. But I think, and don't take this word the wrong way, I still think our forward line is dysfunctional by virtue of not having a Hayden McLean down there.
Yes.
It just feels like something's not working. Hanley is a good inclusion.
Yeah.
But I just think we're missing a tall down there.
Yeah, and I think to how he played last year, it allows for another tall to be playing. And
sure.
All indications point to McLean playing this week, right? McLean plays deep, you ease him back in, he chops out Brodie Grundy, Marty goes up the ground, centre half forward, and Tommy swings back to cover Melican. I think that's how it works.
It has to, and I hope what we see from that faithful is we move away from this bombing it in long. And I don't want to harp on about this because we spent a good year or two harping on about bombing it in long.
Yeah.
But I think with an extra tall, an extra lead-up marking target, we'll hopefully not see as much bombing it in because it looks panicky and it works maybe 1 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it stood out big time on the weekend. It stood out big time. There was just a lot of panic on the ball carrier and just a little bit more composure, and we win that footy game. It's simple as that.
Because you remember the one where Corey and a few others running through the middle, they're running it, they get to half forward. Corey should have just booted it in, and as he's getting experience, I'm really enjoying what Corey's doing. Should have booted it in, hesitated a little bit, handball to Chad, and then Chad's not expecting the handball, and then he's in trouble, and then he bombs it in.
And it's a high floater.
Yeah, high floater. Yeah. Now I forget if we mark that, but that's just an example of how you should be entering forward 50 versus a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of clunkiness, and that's what happens.
It's a decision making, right? You can go back to the Roberts one as well, right? There were 2 players out on that far wing, right, before he tried to bring it back inboard and duff the kick. But they go to the first. Sometimes the first option is the best option, and sometimes you got to try and create as well. I get it, but it's happy medium and it's make the correct decisions.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we should. I think we'll see that change with another target.
Yeah. Now we saw Ben Patton get subbed off. I think it's time to go back to the VFL for mine.
For yours, Deeble, I don't think cannot fault the effort.
No,
cannot fault the effort. Just doesn't look at the level currently.
Yeah, I've got him on my list at the moment. I saw him shirk a contest in that first quarter.
Oh, okay.
And he's got something to prove. He's got a lift to the level. But yeah, Benny Patton, don't shirk contests. That's not what we're about at the Bloods.
He's just stared down the barrel of the camera. Wowee.
Yeah, well, we can clip it up. It was in that first quarter. He didn't go back tough enough. And look, I can understand how the players sort of second guess themselves now too. It's like if I go back, get concussion, all this stuff. There's so much to consider, but I thought he could have gone back harder, Mads.
Well, there you go. For yours, Deeble. Wow.
Yes, bang.
Bang. Deeble goes bang.
It's not personal.
The Vol
It's just
Deeble.
opinion. It's an opinion game.
It's an opinion-based game. Now, speaking of which, hashtag justice for Juzzy.
Yes.
Juzzy's
Not
done
good.
for three of the best in a situation where I don't know what else he could have done. I don't know what else he could have done, Faithful.
Yeah, that's why don't contest the ball. Is that what they want him to do?
I don't know what else Jackson Archer could have done either, to be honest. So
yeah, it's a funny one. We've been saying this has been the last 7, 8, 9 years. It's like you come out with concussion and you're in strife. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's an accidental head clash, like it's shoulder to shoulder contact. It's been like this for a long time. There's people sort of pasting the club for not going into bat. For Juzzy, I personally,
what's the point?
I would save the 10K in the soft cap. That's what I do. But yeah, I just don't think there was any way he gets off. We saw North went to the tribunal. That's the word. Just before, and they've done their 10K. So it's not ideal. I just don't think there was any way he was getting off.
Don't have the 10K spare either. So that's probably a greater issue for macroeconomics, Stable. But
we're a big finance pod here at True Bloods. We love the numbers, big numbers, guys.
Big numbers, guys. No, look. And that's just another thing we're going to have to grapple with, right? Because these are key ball movers, key to our transitional football. And we're not going to have Juzzy for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a loss. Has Juzzy been in the best form? Probably not, but it's with the way we're getting decimated by injury at the moment, Juzzy's, in every day of the week. It's just a matter of showing some blood's grit and finding a way to get the W over there in Freo. It's we'll talk about it more on the preview, but geez, it's big. It's big for the supporter base. It's big for the club. Just being backs against the wall. We've got the shoulders pinned against the wall, Mads, and we still got to throw some jabs.
To be honest, it probably feels more important than it actually is.
Yeah, exactly right. I think
it's not the end of the world. As we saw, Brisbane, what did they go on for?
Yeah. You just know what it would be so good for, critical. Mads. You know what it'd be so good for? For morale.
For morale. Big morale pod.
Huge morale pod. It's like if we get the win over in WA,
it's massive. And we did it last year. We did it last year.
Yeah.
We beat Freo at home last year.
We did.
We can do it again.
Yeah.
And we were actually undermanned then as well. I was on a flight somewhere, listening to it on an airplane.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, very good. I think that probably wraps us up.
It does, mate. Yeah, but there's no worry stations here at True Bloods HQ. I'm confident in what we're doing. I think we saw, how we can go about it this year. I think we saw
glimpses.
Coxie's game plan coming through. It's a lot more. What words did I use during the week? Sort of, it's a lot more level-headed, the game. We're not relying on that electric ball movement, I feel, as much.
It's a lot more patient, I would consider it.
So, look, I'm starting to see what we're putting down, and I just, pledge to the faithful to, stick fat, and, we get the win here, and it's a different narrative in the media as well. So,
for sure.
Stick fat. We'll take a little break here from the sponsors and jump into some socials. Mads, Dingo Landscape and Designer on board again for this month. How good is that? Pat and the team have been phenomenal supports of ours. And how good's the work they do in the eastern suburbs of Sydney?
Oh, Deebs, as I've said, it's always been my dream to have a place in Melbourne and a place in Sydney. And if I was lucky enough to get that place in Sydney, I'd be calling Pat from Dingo Landscape.
For sure, mate. I'm a big pavers guy back in the back garden.
Big pavers guy.
Make sure you give Pat a call. I've got his phone number here, Mads. It's 0408 485 397. If you're looking for a first, second year, third year apprenticeship, get in contact with Pat, give him a call, and he provides free quotes as well.
Oh, yes, he does.
So just once again, that number 0408 485 397. Call Pat for all your inquiries.
Welcome back to True Bloods.
Yes.
AFL Today Studio, Deeble.
It's very good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Quite warm under the lights, but that's okay. This is the price you pay, Deebs, for this quality production that we get.
Hey, we've leveled up this year. There's no doubt about that, mate. Have a look at the doozies. They're looking down there.
Have a doozy while you're telling a doozy.
Exactly right.
Thank you for jumping on board.
Fantastic.
It's just great stuff. We're just feeling the love from the faithful. And speaking of the faithful, this is the social segment, David.
We're a big social pod. We love the engagement from the faithful. That's what makes this podcast better than any other podcast, because our listeners are the best in the competition, like our footy side when they're up and running. When
our best is the best.
And we've got everyone out on the park. But, you know, that list is ever going.
The best ability is...
availability.
That's right.
Yes, he's nailed it. Let's go. Let's go. But we got producer Alex back on to help us with the social seg. Alex, what have we gone with this week?
Hashtag Ask the Faithful this week is James Jordan has put his hand up as the best tagger in the game, taking care of the 2-time Brownlow medalist last week. Who from the Dockers does JJ go to this week? So this is across your Facebooks, X, and Instagram. So we'll start on Facebook, and a lot of the same answers given. You know, Freo have a couple of injuries at the moment, so we'll just go to it, choose one. Gavin Charles, got to tag Sarong, and while toweling him up, whisper sweet nothings into his ear, reminding him the way to avoid the clamps of JJ is to come to the Swans.
Yeah, very good, Gav. Very good. He's a ripper, Gav. Big supporter of the pod.
He loves it.
Yeah, look at Sarong's the player. Is Sarong a player you see and you're like,
Sarong's
shit,
right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
you're like, shit, you wish he was playing for the Bloods.
Well,
every time I see him after talking to Kinnear, it's like, geez, I wish we had Sarong in red and white.
Well, he was a Swans supporter growing up.
The year of his draft, they had him down in the rooms, Mads. It's the biggest miss of all time. But yeah, look, Sarong's playing some good footy. Was he all Australian last year? I'm not too sure, but like player,
Pull
absolute
that up for us,
player.
please, Al. Yeah,
I reckon he was going off memory, but
he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, you've also got Brayshaw in that midfield. Here's another option. And Jordan Clark is also an option. But we'll hear some other suggestions from the faithful.
So Sarong was named on the All-Australian bench in 2023. So
a year ago.
So when they made the finals.
Yes.
So Jake, Colleen Maguire, Sarong and Rowie, for Sarong for JJ and Rowie to Brayshaw. Without these two, Freo have a team of under 12s who do nothing. Heaney and Paps to kick 5 each. Wow.
Yes.
He does like a bit of mayo, Jake.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being a little bit ambitious.
No,
we need that at the moment.
That's fine. But does Braden Campbell have sort of more a defensive forward role on Jordan Clark?
Normally it's been Will Hayward going to, that defensive runner. It was Sicily in round one. He didn't really have to go to anyone. In opening round, didn't have to go to someone last week in round one. I
only say because of the 7 tackles. Like that to me is a really good example of someone's ability to...
I think he's doing that without having a direct role. So you sort of... I want Braden to worry about his forward craft and working forward. I'd prefer Wilbur if required. It's sort of one of those things too, like Jake talks about, going to Brayshaw as well with Rowie. Like Rowie's numbers were a little bit down on the weekend, probably not getting enough of it. So it's like you'd love Rowie to just go in and get that contested pill as well. So...
You don't want to stifle your own game.
You're backing your own game,
sure.
but I think Sarong is that good that you nullify that, and JJ gets his own ball going the other way as well.
He does that regardless. Doesn't matter if it's a Brownlow medalist or Caleb Sarong. He does that anyway. I think I don't know. I think just with Braden, I'm just big on sort of adding. Building a skill set, right?
Yeah, adding to the toolbox.
Yeah, correct.
Time at the block.
Time on the block. Yeah,
exactly right.
That's a Kinnear Beatson
and a Tom Harley.
And a Tom Harley term. There you go.
Add to the kit bag. Yeah. Have we got another way to say it? But look, I rather personally for mine.
For yours,
I'll just let Braden Campbell cook.
I think
he's got that natural ability to be able to go and get his own pill, kick snags. I wanted to see him hit scoreboard like he did. 2 goals on the weekend.
Yeah, massive.
Loving what BC's doing.
Next one.
Matt Hoff. I see the Cats chose Brayshaw over Sarong last week, but for mine,
For yours.
it's Clark. All the play starts there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan Clark, I think we've done that in the past. I reckon that's who we have gone to.
Well, we did it with Hayden Young more so.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
did.
But he won't. I don't think he'll be playing. I
No.
don't think he's playing.
Yeah, what do you think of tagging the halfback and Jordan Clark? They've also got Luke Ryan as well, who is definitely an All-Australian. He really controls and sort of he's the chief back there, directing the troops.
I mean, it's like how many people are you going to clamp down?
Yeah,
on,
look at and you
know?
probably, Luke Ryan's going to get his own pill. Sort of does a bit of a lizard, takes the kick outs and he's their distributor. But yeah, look, see how it plays out.
Horses for courses.
Horses for courses, exactly right.
So along that lines, on Instagram, Brendan Paul Weller, if he plays Young and it's not even a debate, if not, it's Clark or Sarong.
Yeah. They're the names getting thrown around. It's pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. You might just take one more off the Twitter or something like that. But yeah, all signs sort of point to Sarong.
Yeah.
Sarong.
Well, I mean, a big issue in the game against the Lions and the game against is our clearances and stoppage work.
Yeah.
We just weren't there. So if you can negate theirs a little bit while we find our form
exactly
in terms
right.
Because we're probably
That's a good point.
We're probably that's where our biggest issue was. When they got that run on, we just could not forget clearance. We couldn't get our hands on the ball in the middle of the ground. Couldn't get our hands on the ball. So that's something. If you can negate their effectiveness and their impact in that situation, that's going to get you closer to winning the ball game. Because we've always said, if you halve the clearances and you halve contested footy, we're going to win the game.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit off topic, but I want to bring this up. It's like if we see a run on like we did with Brisbane, kicking 6-2 in that second quarter or third quarter, whenever it was. Do you want to see the big dogs going into the middle and try and winning a clearance? It's like it's Grundy, it's Heaney, it's Rowie, and it's Chad right, going in. That's what I want to see. It's like we need to stop this now.
You want to see real-time coaching at play. You want to say, hey, I've identified an issue here that is, it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
We're going to do something to stop that right now.
Yeah.
That's what you need to see.
That's what we need to see.
I don't think that's off topic at all.
Yeah.
Because this comes down to the fact that you're trying to, the game is one in the middle.
Always.
The game is one in the middle. You need to stop Caleb Sarong from being his usual effective self.
Yeah.
And if that's not working, it does need to be a whole team approach.
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. Anything on the Twitters?
We'll give one last one from Twitter because it's all a lot of Sarong and Brayshaw.
Sarong's the right, yeah,
but
sure.
Timmy Eatwell, and this one's a funny one. For fantasy purpose, I'd be appreciative of him going to Sarong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was the Twitter handle?
Timmy Eatwell.
That's good. That's an old. That's a sort of late '90s emo band reference.
Yeah, see, that's out of my wheelhouse.
Probably just
Mads.
a bit over your head there, Deeble.
Hey,
but I'm all over it because they're a great band. There you go.
There we go. No, and look, you want to see the coach's box just address the issues when they're coming up. Like
100%.
if we see Sarong with 23 and a goal at halftime, it's like, got to do something here. But I think with how well JJ went on the weekend, there's no doubt that we'll see him going to someone. And I think that's how we get the most effectiveness out of the single player that is JJ.
Correct.
Call him butter because he goes on a roll. Bang. There it is.
I love it,
Clip
Deeble.
that.
I love
Very good.
Very good. Well, that about does it for the socials. I mean, in terms of housekeeping.
These are
housekeeping
out. Pod.
Stand up, Deebs.
Yes.
How good.
Genuine A grader, Isaac Heaney.
They're out.
As if you can't not get one of them. You simply have
they
to.
should be in your letterboxes or at a post office near you at present because
within
they're
the next
out.
week, I'd say.
Yep.
Anyone who's got one, they'll see theirs. And we have stocked some Mads this
Yep.
time, so definitely jump on the Shopify. And the live event is the other one, Mads. Tickets are selling out. There's not many left, and you don't want to miss out. JPK, the best Swannies finals player of all time. Mads.
Best ever. Robbed of a Norm Smith, and he will be speaking to us and mucking around with us at the Riser on Saturday, the 29th of March. So
$55 gets your ticket, includes lunch. Whether you want a prawn linguine, Mads, or a chicken parmigiana, that's included in your ticket. We'll be playing some trivia with some prizes and stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
so
it'll be good.
If you're thinking about coming down, don't wait to purchase your ticket. It'll be in the show notes. Click on the link. And
it's a buy. It's a buy. So
what
it's
else
not
are you
like
going to be bloody doing?
You're not doing anything else. So we'll see you on Saturday, the 29th of March. We'll come back with the preview, won't we, Deebs?
We will, mate.
Deebs, I need a wheel alignment. Where do I go? What do I do?
Well, Mads, book your wheel alignment in at Chadstone Toyota, 1547 Dandenong Road in Oakley. It's $99. And if you get 4 new tyres fitted by Chadstone Toyota, you get a free premium wash on the house.
T's and C's applied. Just mention this ad and you're good to go. Oh, what a feeling.
Welcome back to True Bloods. How good's this? We are back. We are in the studio. We are in different rooms because we have the one and only Polly Porridge. She is notorious on your Twitters. She is the female voice of True Bloods. How good's this? How are you, Pol? Good to have you back for the first time this year. How you going? What's happening?
I'm doing great. It is very exciting to be back, and it's great to see both your faces. It's been a bit of a while, so it's very exciting to be here.
How good.
Welcome, Pol. It's bloody good to have you. We've been trying to get you on, obviously. Deebs and I are not the most technologically gifted people going around, but that's okay. We've got the help that we need these days. You're at the SCG on Saturday afternoon. Talk us through that.
Yeah, I was. It was great. I'm going to start off by saying big shout out to Michelle from the social team. She gave me upgraded tickets into the members lounge, which was phenomenal.
So you meant to keep those sort of deals quiet, Polly, so people don't ask.
Hey, I was a content guinea pig for her, so I was a fair trade off. I didn't do it for nothing.
Mate,
no, it was.
It's the biggest thing. Nothing is ever for nothing. She was working basically. She was on the tools.
Oh yeah, I was on the tools. Exactly right.
Indeed.
Apart from the loss, it was a great day up at the SCG. Mykonos weather, it was bloody hot and balmy. So Deebs, I'm pretty sure you just bring the Melbourne weather when you come up to Sydney with you.
It's your fault.
Truly.
Just going back to Clarko's old theory on this weather. It's like you don't want this Mykonos weather while you're watching footy. You tout it as an awesome thing. Where comfort levels at 35 degrees with 80% humidity is not what I'm looking for when I go and watch a game of footy. But
it's true. It's true. It was definitely made better by the fact that I could go into an air-conditioned room if I needed to. And I did think, look, it did impact the boys in a negative way, but we'll get into that. But apart from that, great day. Probably should have won. Probably lost it ourselves, but we can get into it.
Yeah. Well, we have actually changed things around, Pol. That's our bad. We are going to be previewing the game against Freo. So we have
easy.
We've moved the goalposts on you per se, but that's on us.
That's fine. That's fine.
You were telling me how average Freo were going during the week anyway. So that it is an absolute non-issue.
No, not an issue at all.
Do you think they're average? Is the consideration that they are in fact average?
I think the sum of all parts leads to averageness. You go, the Indigenous All-Star game, you kind of gave them a pass thinking it was just pre-season, they were going easy. But then after what they did with Geelong, you go, there's an issues here.
Yeah, that's a really important part to bring up. They were pretty average in that Indigenous All-Stars game. I actually forgot about that. And then, down at GMHBA, it's always hard to win down there, but to sort of get blown away like they did down there, it's not what you want to be seeing earlier in the season. I think if you compare to us in our 2 games that have gone on, our effort's been pretty good. That's not sort of what I've been questioning in our 2 games, where you can definitely question the effort of Freo last week.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, look, without the the second most famous read in Fremantle. In Perth, sorry, they really didn't get near it, right? And it's always, as you say, it's always a hard task down there at Cardinia Park. So I don't think we can really judge it just off that per se.
Well, for us per se, Mads, it's the beach house down there. It's quite easy. GMH.
Our second home. It's our home away from home, Deeble. But the fact of the matter is they've got a really dangerous forward line that, considering ours is a little bit undermanned. Granted, Tom McCartan will be going back there. There's definitely they're not a team to be taken lightly. I want to make that clear.
No, for sure. Like you don't just look at what happened on the weekend and go, they're a bad team, because they're going to be playing Optus, and it's a whole different kettle of fish when they're playing at home and playing in Perth compared to us going over to Perth, which, to be fair, that's our third, I guess, home. We do like Optus Stadium. It's not like some teams when they go over there and it's a complete blowout. It's more evenly matched than it seems on paper.
Yeah.
You know who it's a big game for?
Who?
Brodie Grundy.
Yes, for sure. So he'll get Luke Jackson. Sean Darcy will not be playing. I did a Freo podcast last night, and it was updated that Darcy's still a few weeks away. So that's one good thing. But I mentioned Brodie Grundy as well. It's very, very odd how Broads just tends to start games so slow and isn't able to impact in the contest, but the way he's been able to work himself into the contest in the third and fourth quarters has been really good, but we just need that for 4 quarters, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I'm with you, but I mean, Luke is a whole lot more mobile and fit. At the moment, it seems like he can probably go for longer than Grundy, so it'll be a massive effort for him to have the contest. It'll be a really good test, I think.
Yeah, Druzy from the Freo Faithful podcast that I was on, he sort of mentioned that Jackson is a little bit of an impact player, though. He comes in and out of games and isn't sort of been as consistent as they need him to be. So
I definitely don't think he's at the level that they thought they were getting when they brought him over from Melbourne on that money. But it's still, when you see that Grundy sort of probably has lost a step or two, I'd say, it just makes it an interesting matchup for mine.
For yours, Mads. Now, Paul, we look at our injury list. It's ever growing. Look, I did a nice little TikTok video that I was pretty happy with, which Mads questions my music choices, but that's okay. We'll move on.
I don't question your choices. I question your general music taste. That's what I question.
It's just anything that sounds good.
Yeah, it's a template. You just got to roll with it, Matt. Like, just don't question it.
We'll get you producing content one day, mate. It's only been 8 years, but that's okay. So, you've got Taylor Adams out of the side, Harry Cunningham, Robbie Fox, Errol Goulden, Logan McDonald, Millsy, Juzzy out of the side, and Melican is added to that ever-growing list. Where do you see how do you see the team lining up, Paul? Do you see Tommy McCartan going back with Melican out? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I think the only thing that makes sense is McCartan goes back, because even if you bring Francis in, which should be available this week, he's just not as seasoned as McCartan, and it's just such a young defensive line now back there that with a Freo forward line like that, it just doesn't make any sense for McCartan not to go back. So yeah, I think McCartan swings back and then McLean comes in for him in the forward line. He's not on the injury list, so I'm assuming that means he's fit. Right?
Yeah. If he's training, he's playing.
Yeah. And then for Juzzy, I can see it going either way. This is Juzzy. Indy Kirk is fit again, and so it could be him because he played a really good game against the Gold Coast in that preseason game. Or I can also see Cleary coming in. There would have to be people moved around. Like Campbell's probably going to have to go on a wing, and people are going to have to come into that half forward spot. But that's the only thing that really makes sense, looking at who could potentially come in. And I guess Sheldrick. I don't know. Maybe they throw Sheldrick back in.
Yeah, that's who I would sort of lean towards. Obviously, pretty average in the opening round against the Hawks, got subbed off and then dropped the following week.
As I
I
said to producer Alex, who's the biggest beef fan, the best way to cook beef is slow cooked. He's coming. It's
yeah.
going to come through.
Well, I'm a big medium rare beef guy, so hopefully that's how it's being cooked. But the contested ball is sort of a concern at the moment, and you would think that Sheldrick can add to the stocks in that, in the contest.
We're missing an extractor, and that's just the fact of the matter, right?
Yeah.
And they're not. We don't have a great many of them on our list. So I'm hoping he's sort of finds some form quickly, because that's what it really impacted us last week. So it's just something that we need him to get himself right, because it's been years in the making. We know what he can do. We know what he's capable of doing. And it'd be great to have him in form and performing that role.
I did see a bit from Bice. I could see Bice also playing an
Bice was
extractor role.
great.
He was really, really good. And so if they are looking to fill in that role, I think he could definitely step up and play the full game instead of just coming on as sub. And maybe Gus can come on as sub just to give him a little bit less time on field, because it's probably a fitness issue in that first game.
Yeah, no, I can pick up what you're putting down there, Paul. Where I think Freo can stretch us is up in their forward line, our back line. Jai Miss up there, and the other guy, what's his name? I've lost it. Jai Miss and Tracy. They're the two that sort of can play that big marking, clunking grabs, and that's why I think Tommy's got to go back to help take care of one of them. How do you see the back six playing out, Mads? And where do you see the game being won and lost besides the midfield, as we already know?
I mean, this is the thing, right? You've got Tom McCartan going back. I honestly, I think the back six, it's going to remain a bit of a hosh posh sort of thrown together thing, because you haven't had guys with that continuity together for a period of time. Right, it's just going to be how it is. So it's going to be a lot of sort of guys from the midfield getting back to help out. But I mean, as I said in the last seg, if we're halving the contest like we want to in the middle, it's not so much of an issue. It's if the ball's coming freely, transition, going through the guts, they're ripping us to pieces through the midfield, then you're screwed anyway, right? You're absolutely. It doesn't matter what your back six is. They're going to get hands on the football. You just can't play like that. So once again, it comes back to the fact that if there is bleeding in the midfield, you want to see the bleeding stopped. And that is, we have the caliber of players to win contested footy and clearances in the middle of the ground. So to me, it's not about the back six. It's about winning the ball in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. And, you got Jaeger O'Meara in there. You got Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw. Look, this was a midfield that was getting touted as elite through the sort of that halfway point of last year. They were playing some sensational footy, and it just sort of all fell apart for Freo. And I think that's what you have to always keep into consideration is these teams, the ebbs and flows come in this game of AFL. And Freo, if they put it all together, especially at home, they're a really dangerous outfit. So we really can't be taking them lightly.
Well, that's why I'm saying you cannot take them lightly, because you can't use a sample size of Geelong at Cardinia Park as your sole basis for saying, well, they're not what everybody thought they were going to be. They're cooked now. They're going to want to get on the winners list just as much as we are. Big game for Brodie Grundy. Big game for people trying to. I mean, it's not a massive competition for spots, but it's a really good time to showcase your Riley biases. Does Ben Patton get dropped?
I don't think so. I don't think he had a bad game on Saturday. I think it was more we needed to take someone off, and it made the most sense to take him off for Bice. Maybe they swap. Maybe Patton plays sub and Bice starts. Because I don't know who you
He
bring
ma-
in.
He
That's the
did make
thing.
a few errors, and it's probably harder to see at the ground. He did make a few errors.
Yes.
Deebs reckons he shirked the contest, which isn't ideal. He just looks a bit lost for mine.
For yours.
Thank you. He just looks a little bit lost, which is interesting because, and maybe it's just sort of the transition from VFL to AFL footy, perhaps.
Oh, Bice doesn't have
He was
that issue.
playing- No, he doesn't.
It's
Which-
mate.
But yeah, as I said, I don't know who you bring in. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
in the defensive line, I don't know who you could possibly. There's no one else really.
I think what you can look at with what Coxie's done in the first 2 weeks and who's been pulled off as the sub, I think it really read true with Sheldrick getting dragged in the first week and then out of the side, that he's
Correct.
pulling off players who aren't impacting on the game. And that's why I think we'll see Patton come out and a few changes. Whether Sheldrick comes back in or maybe a Sid Mitchell for something different or something like that. There's a few guys who can come in and then you sort of
There could be a Sid Mitchell out there for all of us, actually. That might be the way to go. See, I'm looking at this a little bit differently. I'm really enjoying not actually throwing the toys out of the cot with being 0-2 because you're still mucking around. This is still pre-season. Like, you can afford to get hot. You can try things out now. It's not out of the realms of possibility. We've had podcasts in the past, Deebs, where we've gone, you don't want to, it's round 17, it's round 18. You don't want to start experimenting now, but it's round 2. So you can afford to give people a crack. And that doesn't necessarily mean
that needs to experiment. You got a coach that needs to experiment at the end of the day. Like, he's new. He's going to need to actually get game experience under his belt as much as everyone else. So,
But hey,
if he's going to do it now.
The thing about experimenting is it doesn't have to result in a loss. That's the thing. It can go really well and you can get a win. So, and then you're all the better for having done it. So I'm not opposed to chucking a Sid Mitchell in there, making a few positional changes. He said he was going to do it anyway. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. And I'm sure we come out with a W.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Now, we love parties on hills here at True Bloods, and we love the doozies. You got to get your doozies. So who's bringing the doozies to the party for you guys?
Paul?
For mine, it's one of the Jersey boys himself. It's Wilbur. His kicking was, I'm just going to say, it was atrocious on the weekend. Like, for something that's his main skill set, it was just not on par with where he normally is. And so I think he gets a big call up. I know he kicked that one goal, but like, it was just, he just wasn't on the weekend. And I think it would be good to see him bring the doozies to the party.
Very
Mads?
good.
He struggled for a little while, and someone else who I'd like to come to the party is Ollie Florent. And I think
Doozy boys.
Doozy boys. Ollie has historically played quite well at Optus Stadium. I think he likes it a little bit wider. He can sort of move around the half back and the wing, and I want to see him do that. I want to see him get a lot of the football, and I want to see him hitting targets. This is a situation where he can actually be the missing link in our sort of going from our clunky transitional play to something smooth. He is quite silky. That's what his one of his core attributes is. So, if you've got him going at the back of his football card, which I expect he will, he will respond to the form that he's in. That changes the way we sort of move through the middle of the ground, Deebs, don't you think?
I do. We're a much better side when Oflo's in form. We need him to lift it. Simple as that. And to make it a trifecta, it's Isaac. The Doozy boys, they're going to bring all 6 flavors to the party on the hill. That's what we're about.
Isaac, so this wasn't planned. We didn't plan this.
Isaac Heaney is going into the guts. He's having 32. He's pushing forward. He's standing on someone's head and he's kicking 3. Right? 32 and 3. 3 Brownlow votes for Isaac. LFG, baby. Up the doozy
Do you
boys.
see him playing a more outside role where he's getting that sort of getting the handballs out of the pack?
Oh, look, I suppose, yeah, it's how that midfield, saddles up, I guess, whether Rowie can find a bit more ball, whether Sheldrick goes inside, whether he's forced to go and get his own. But I think he can go in and, get 25 hard ball gets and go forward for 10 minutes and kick 3. He's that good, and that's what we hope for. So that's the invites, and we'll jump into the tipping, Clarko. Now, how did you go this week?
Let's have a look. I'll just pull it open. Right, so the great Clarko. Let me have a squiz here. 6 out of 9.
Yeah, very good. Likewise, myself, Porridge.
Oh,
I did so bad that I may as well try and go for last.
How many did you
I got 4.
Yeah.
I'm coming 180th out of 200.
that's not good, Cole.
It's not ideal.
Where did you get?
Not ideal.
What happened?
I took couple big swings. I tipped Freo. And then I tipped West Coast. And I tipped Port.
Yeah.
Okay.
My big swings pay off.
They're the ones that'll bring you down. It starts off on Thursday night football. We love that. I'm pretty sure Thursday night footy is pretty consistent this year.
Yes.
I think all the way through. And we've got Carlton, who will be looking to bounce back against the Premiership favourite Hawks. Are we all tipping the Hawks there?
We are.
Very good. Friday night football, the Dogs v Collingwood at the MCG. Home game for the Bulldogs. Interesting.
It's funny how it's a home game for the Bulldogs, but of course it's still Collingwood's home game. Very fair sort of stuff there. It'll be Collingwood comfortably.
Yes, I would think so. Collingwood for you as well, Paul?
Yeah, the only thing is that it's the Footscray's anniversary game, and that might give them a lift, but I think there's too many players out. It's got to be.
If you listen to what Sam Newman says, which I don't think many people do anymore,
no,
it doesn't. Things like that shouldn't matter about whether you win or lose. Righto,
Clarko.
I mean, you would think that it would help, but I think Collingwood looked great against Port. That looks great.
Yeah, they really turned the corner. It's a funny one from such a bad game in opening round to playing the footy they did, but who knows if Port's any good this year. Saturday afternoon, Essendon and Adelaide at the MCG.
Essendon.
I reckon Adelaide are going to be good this year. I reckon they're top 6. Adelaide.
I'm going to tip. How did the Dons go last week? I can't even remember.
They lost to Hawthorn.
They got all right. It was all right, considering it was Hawthorn.
Got overran in the end, didn't they?
Yes.
Adelaide travelling, question mark.
It'll be a good test. It's a good test to see what they're
both
about.
the levels are at. Yeah,
like it. Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide v Richmond. Can Port bounce back?
Port will absolutely.
Can Richmond back it up?
Back it up.
Wouldn't that be funny? No, Port will win.
I think Port also.
Yeah.
Saturday night, St Kilda v Geelong.
Geelong.
At Marvel.
Geelong.
Yeah, it's Geelong.
I
think, St Kilda are not gonna. I think they might come last.
Ooh, get on that. Wooden spooners like it.
Wooden spoon. Yeah.
Sunday game, we got the Lions v West Coast. I think we'll all be going with the Lions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melbourne versus North Melbourne.
What do we think?
Melbourne was good. Melbourne was good against GWS as much as it paid
really
me.
good. Melbourne were really good.
Out we come to play. Is that the same?
Yes.
That's the song. That's what you normally go with, isn't it, Clarko?
Hands to hands. I reckon North can win.
Yeah, I watched that game pretty intently against the Doggies. Just still lacking that bit of polish and just being able to stand up at the right times. They've got the cattle now, I feel, North. It's just whether they can put it
It's
together.
more grunt cattle though, isn't it?
I
You
think so.
know, it's more grunt cattle, so they're not gonna bedazzle you when you're watching them play football. But they've got a lot of honest, super honest, tough players that can win the footy. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. But Melbourne were really good. I think Melbourne probably still get up.
For sure. And Schwannies by how far on Sunday night? Grenache hour. We're getting down to the rising sun, Mads and myself. So we will be having a Cape Grim ribeye.
That's right.
Down at the river, down at the rising sun with a nice glass of red, I think. And that's I can.
Yeah.
There's a bottle of red out there for us, Mads.
There's a bottle of red out there for us. There's a ribeye out there for us. I reckon we probably finish off a bottle together. I reckon, Deebs.
It'd be rude not to, and we'll be doing that to a 4-goal Schwannies win.
I think so. I think it'll be about 3 or 4. I'd like a relaxed final quarter.
Yeah. Happy.
It's too late on a Sunday for a stressful game.
Yes, correct.
So true.
Correct.
So
you don't want the anxiety peaking on Sunday at about sort of 8 p.m., do you?
No,
we don't. We don't. Well, thanks for coming on, Pol. It's been good to have you back on the True Bloods airwaves.
it's great to be back.
Very good.
The potty is fantastic this year.
And we'll be seeing
Great to be part of
you.
it.
We'll be seeing you at the live show on the 29th, which will be phenomenal.
You sure will. So if that's the incentive you need, Faithful, to get those tickets, is that you're going to see me. I'm flying all the way down from Sydney for it, and there's not even a game on. That's what you should do.
So there's some heavy hitters that have sort of sought out Polly Porridge in the last couple of weeks and just headed up to Sydney and gone out for dinner with her. So she's a sought after gal, the old Polly Porridge. So please get around her. She might even have a friendship bracelet out there for you if you like.
Yeah, I might have to put some time in for that.
Yeah, very good. Well, this has been True Bloods. We are the #1 independent Sydney Swans fan podcast. And as always, we remain #1 in your hearts and #1 on the charts. We're speaking words of wisdom up the potty.
Chadstone Toyota are back on board in 2025, and they have some ripping deals for the faithful, Mads. If you purchase the new Hilux, the SR5, the Rogue, or my favourite, the GR Sport, they're going to chuck in $1,500 worth of genuine accessories.
Jeez, that's value. And all you have to do, Deebs, is mention this ad.